I saw the movie Top Gun 5 times in the theater the day it came out, July 31st, 1986, at the Highland 10 movie theater, which is still here, just down the road. I didn't pay 5 times. Somehow my parents were cool just leaving me there. But I thought that movie was the coolest thing ever. Playing volleyball on the beach in ripped jeans and shirts, singing impromptu karaoke in bars, the motorcycles, the jets, the uniform. As I got into 7th grade, the parts with Kelly McGillis's character started to make a little bit more sense as well. You know, she comes into class and drops him the note and says, "Meet me at 5." That's 39 minutes and 55 seconds into the movie. They eat at her house. They're being super vulnerable, talking about their families. Sparks are flying. And he gets up and leaves. The utter confidence of that, I wanted to be that cool. But I wasn't. So the beach volleyball in ripped jeans and ripped shirts, that's 41 minutes in the movie. Not exactly my sporting life. So in 7th grade, if you want to be cool, what do? You play football. Now, I had no desire to play, but I had a very strong desire to be cool. So I played. Now, I made the A team, which was cool, but I was second string, which is not so much. Do you know what second stringers are? They're tackling dummies for the first string. As the second string defensive end, my job was to run headfirst into whatever was running headfirst at me, which was generally our starting running back. Now, we had 2 starting running backs, both of whom played Division I college football. These guys turned 18 on their 13th birthday. So I spent every day in the fall for 2 years with them graciously delivering me low-grade brain trauma. Not beach volleyball cool. Some of you may remember the "You've Lost That Love and Feeling" scene. That's 21 minutes and 32 seconds. Maverick's in the bar with his glasses on, because you do that. His boys all break out into song behind him. The whole bar joins in and is dancing around. Not quite like middle school dances for your guy. Now, in 7th grade at one of these dances, I had actually managed to dance a couple of times with a girl that I liked and strung some words into sentences, and at the end of the dance got up the nerve to ask her to go out with me, to be my girlfriend. She said she had to think about it. Later that night at a coffee shop, without that girl in our group, by the way, a mutual friend of ours comes up and tells me she's not interested. I got turned down by proxy. Not as cool as impromptu karaoke. Fashion. The naval aviator uniform, to me, was always the pinnacle of cool. You know, when Maverick decides right before the big dogfight scene, he wants to graduate with his class. That's 1 hour, 25 minutes into the movie. The camera catches him at an angle. He's got his hat under his arm. He's got the white jacket buttoned all the way to the neck. Shoes are shined. There's a crease in his pants so sharp you could shave with it. The camera pans back and there's 30 other pilots in the same white uniform just lounging around by the pool deck, just vibing cool. And based on what you all now know about me, totally the same, right? My particular fashion decision in 8th grade was the mullet. Think Uncle Joey from Full House or George Michael from Wham. I think the closest was probably David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust, although blonde, not orange. I got tremendous amounts of very well-deserved shit for it, and I was just kind of oblivious. You remember the running back who spent 2 years giving me concussions? One of those starting running backs, a guy named Mike Yeager. He lives in San Diego. We still talk. In 8th grade, we were generally friends, and he was definitely cool. One day, I finally wised up, and I cut the mullet off, and the next morning, I go to school, and I walk into the cafeteria for breakfast, and I see Mike across the cafeteria. He leaps onto the table, I swear this is true, and screams at the top of his lungs, "Donelson!" You cut off your mullet, we can be friends again. While I appreciated the sentiment, his little display wiped any cool points I may have gained from actually cutting the mullet. The vibe was not the naval aviator uniform. Fast forward about a decade. I'm on the second date with a girl, and we're really hitting it off. We had gone to dinner and then out for coffee. Both decided we didn't want the date to end, so we were out having a drink. Finished our drink, and I drove us back to her house, parked my truck out front, and walked her to the front door. She does that thing where you unlock the door, but you don't open it, and you kind of lean on it after a date. I asked her if I could take her out again that Friday, and she agrees. I mean, we had just spent all night, really both dates, being super vulnerable, talking about our families, and sparks were flying. Kinda like in a movie about fighter jets and being cool. And in this moment, I knew what had to happen. I had to leave her wanting a little more, but the cool way, the way that gets the girl in the third act. So I'm leaning up next to her on the door. I tell her I had a wonderful time and I was really looking forward to Friday. And I left without kissing her. As I pulled back onto the highway, I wasn't in my truck anymore. I was maverick. I'm on that motorcycle doing 100 miles an hour, wind in my hair, the fighter jets are taking off right next to me. It was, without a doubt, the coolest I have ever felt. And y'all, it's even cooler when it works. Like Charlie and Maverick in the third act, I married that girl. She's right back there. 18 years ago this June, a couple of months after that second date, I told her what I had done, and she said, yeah, it did leave her wanting a little bit more. She did want me to have kissed her that night, and she did think it was pretty cool. Thanks.